presentation of the colors by the Monsignor Alanan Assembly, 1854, of the Knights of Columbus. Please remain standing for the Star-Spangled Banner that will be led by Dr. Franklin Thompson, former Omaha City Councilman and the current Director of Omaha's Human Rights and Relations Department. He will be accompanied by Alex Buescher. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, Dr. Patterson. Please remain standing for the offering of the invocation by Bishop Joseph Hennefeld of the Diocese of Grand Island, Nebraska.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, creator of heaven and earth, you who have created all things and rule the world with justice, we honor you and praise you for the gift of your divine law, which guides us in all things. In your great wisdom, you have given to your people the responsibility of establishing civil laws to govern this great land. In receiving your authority, your Constitution provides for us judges to interpret the laws we have established for the right ordering of our society. We come together here today for the investiture of Judge Brian C. Buescher, who has been chosen to serve the District Court of Nebraska. We who know him rejoice in his gifts of wisdom and love for all that is good and right and just. We beseech you, O Lord, to strengthen Judge Buescher with the gifts he needs in order to judge wisely the complex circumstances that now come before him in his court. Enable him in your loving providence to serve this court in humility and with true concern for all. Give him confidence in his work, in fortitude to face all that is required of him. Bless his family at all times and surround them with your protection and peace. May Judge Buescher serve with distinction the cause of justice, and may he trust in your grace and know at all times your abiding love and tender mercy. We invoke your holy name upon this investiture ceremony today, you who are God forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Bishop Hannafelt. And please be seated. Welcome to the Roman Russia Federal Courthouse for this happy and historic, that's a little bit loud, my apologies, happy and historic occasion, the investiture of Brian C. Buescher as the 23rd U.S. District Court Judge for the District of Nebraska. A ceremony of this nature gives us an opportunity to honor our newest judge. It's also a time to reflect on the enduring principles of our federal Constitution. And it's a great excuse to celebrate the very positive relationship that Nebraska's federal judiciary enjoys with members of other branches of federal and state government, the practicing bar, and the public. Thank you all for joining us here today, and many thanks to Susie Cordero and Ray Janiak for all of their efforts in preparing for this special day. As I introduce my fellow judges and other honored guests, I ask that you hold your applause. With me on the stage, to my left, is Magistrate Judge Susan Bazis, Senior District Court Judge Joe Battalion, District Judge Robert Rossiter Jr. On my far right, your left, is Magistrate Judge Michael Nelson, Magistrate Judge Cheryl Swart, and Senior Judge Richard Cuff. I do note that we are missing our Chief Judge, John Gerard, today. That's why you're seeing me up here rather than the more important judge, our Chief Judge. But there is only one thing that's more important to a federal district judge than being at an investiture ceremony, and that is being considerate to the needs of a trial jury. Judge Gerard has been in a trial for at least 2 weeks. He just got the case to the jury about an hour ago, and he needs to stay with that jury to answer their questions. So please understand that he wants to be here, but he simply cannot because of his respect for his fellow citizens who are making that sacrifice of serving on a jury. Over to my right, court was opened by our Marshal, Scott Kratzel, and thank you very much, Marshal, for opening court. We heard the beautiful rendition of our national anthem by Franklin Thompson. Dr. Thompson, once again, thank you very much. Bishop Hannafelt, thank you for providing the invocation. Next to Bishop Hannafelt is our Senator Deb Fisher, the senior senator for Nebraska in the U.S. Senate. And next to Senator Fisher is U.S. Senator Ben Sass. Welcome, Senator Sass. Seated by Senator Sass is the Honorable Jean Stoppard, who is the Mayor of Omaha. Welcome, Omaha Mayor Stoppard. And by her is Chad Peckran, who is a dear friend of our honoree, Brian Buescher, and you will be hearing from him a little bit later today. In the row behind, let me make sure, I have to match the names with the faces because I can tell what I have is a little bit different from what I am seeing. And I'm not going to introduce the wrong people. Let me turn to my left. Thank you for rolling with pinch hitting for Judge Gerard. Judge Stephen Graz of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit is our active judge on the circuit, and we're very happy to have him here today along with Senior Judge Arthur Beam of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. By Judge Beam is Father John Petramale, and we will be hearing from Father Petramale later in the program. Archbishop George Lucas is next to Father Petramale, and welcome Archbishop Lucas. By him is the Honorable Chief Justice Michael Hebekin of the Nebraska Supreme Court, and by Chief Justice Hebekin is Justice Jonathan Papik, and we enjoy a very collegial relationship with the state judiciary here in Nebraska, and we are very grateful to Chief Justice Hebekin and the other justices and judges of the Nebraska State Courts for that fact. Next to Justice Papik is our U.S. Attorney, Joe Kelly. Welcome, Joe. And now I think that now they have me going to the back row over here. All right. Denise Lux is our clerk of the court here in the District of Nebraska. And next to Denise is Kit Lemon, who is the Chief U.S. Probation and Pretrial Services Officer. Next to Kit is Doug Steensma, who is the Deputy Chief U.S. Probation and Pretrial Services Officer. By Doug is a former U.S. Senator, Dave Carnes. Welcome, Senator Carnes. And our current Lieutenant Governor, Mike Foley. By Lieutenant Governor Mike Foley is former Governor Dave Heinemann, right next to our former First Lady, Sally Gann. So we're very pleased to have all of you here. Now I turn back to my former boss, Don Stenberg. And Don, as you know, is the Attorney General of the state of Nebraska for many years and also served for many years as Nebraska's treasurer. So welcome, Don. Next to Don is the former Secretary of State, John Gale, and the former U.S. Congressman and former Mayor of Omaha, Al Dahl. By Mr. Dahl is former U.S. Congressman Lee Terry, and by him, we have an individual who I don't recognize. Would you please tell us your name? Bob Evnan. How could I miss Bob Evnan? I think the printer perhaps cut off Bob Evnan's name. And Bob and I knew each other for many, many years in Lincoln, Nebraska. And Bob is a very distinguished practicing lawyer. And now your position is Secretary of State. Very good. Well, thank you for serving the state of Nebraska in that new capacity. And Bob has also been very active in school board matters for a number of years. Welcome. Right. I am now going to move to our brothers and sisters on the state court bench, and I'm going to help me, I'm going to ask that the Honorable Jeffrey Marcuso please raise his hand if he could shout out. There we go. Okay, there you go. Now I know where to start. Thank you. The Honorable Jeffrey Marcuso, Honorable Craig McDermott, Honorable Derek Vaughn, Honorable Horatio Wheelock, Honorable Stephanie Hansen, the Honorable James Maxteller, the Honorable Matthew Kaler, the Honorable Christina Barakin, the Honorable Michael Piccolo, and I believe that that covers all of the judges. Did I miss any of the judges of the state court? No? Okay. I'd like to move on then to the representatives from our state legislative branch. And John McAllister, Senator McAllister, can you raise your hand so I can find you? Well, let me move down to Senator Julie Slama. Okay. Did I miss the hand of John McAllister back there with you? No. All right. Well, welcome. We're very happy to have our state's legislative branch here today. And Senator Andrew LeBron, are you here as well? Raise your hand if you are. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Thank you so much. Sometimes people come in late and they're shy about sitting up front. That happens. Did I miss any members of our state legislative branch. Right, from the city attorney's office, Paul Kratz. Paul, there we go. Thank you for coming, Paul. And the executive director of the Nebraska State Bar Association, Liz Neely, and Dave Summers, who is the executive director of the Omaha Bar Association, and will be my new boss next year when I serve as the president of the OBA, so I have to be especially nice to him. You now may give everyone whose name you just heard a big round of applause. Our first speaker, Senator Deb Buescher, is a lifelong Nebraskan. She was elected to the Senate in 2012 after representing the 43rd Legislative District in the Nebraska Legislature for 8 years. She now serves on the Senate's Armed Services Committee, chairing its subcommittee on strategic forces, the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, chairing its subcommittee on livestock, marketing, and agriculture, and on the committees on commerce, science and transportation, and environment and public works. Senator Buescher is committed to working with Republicans and Democrats to advance sensible policies, including the nomination and confirmation of highly qualified federal judges. Not only does Senator Buescher reach across the aisle in the Senate, she reaches out to representatives of other branches of government like the judiciary, building positive, respectful relationships. That was evident when she led the judicial vetting process, first for Judge Rossner, then for Judge Ross, and most recently for Judge Buescher. It has been evident in her remarks to the Senate Judiciary Committee at confirmation hearings, and in her very gracious remarks of tribute on the Senate floor when members of the federal judiciary in Nebraska have retired. Of course, it is evident by her presence here today. We are most grateful, Senator Buescher. Please welcome Nebraska's senior United States Senator, Deb Buescher.
Good afternoon. It is always such a pleasure to be at these ceremonies because it's one of the honors that we have as United States Senators to be able to work with the President in finding qualified individuals to serve these important positions. Your Honor, thank you for that very kind introduction. I told her, I said, I didn't write that. I thank her. As I said, it has been an honor to work with all of the judiciary. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members of the Nebraska Judiciary, Mayor Stothard, Bishop Hanfeld, members of the Buescher family, and friends. Today, we celebrate a great win for the state of Nebraska. I'm excited to be here with all of you on this special day. It is my honor to be able to be here and witness the oath of office for the next U.S. District Judge for the District of Nebraska, Brian Buescher. Brian, congratulations. I would also like to thank everyone and hope that you will join me in showing our great appreciation for Chief Judge Lori Smith-Camp. Your Honor, on behalf of all Nebraskans, thank you for your nearly 2 decades of service. You have carried on this court's very important work, and you have guided Nebraska's federal bench with great distinction. This court has remained strong under your leadership and with your service to the state. Not too long ago, you gifted me with a book. It was echo of its time. It's a detailed history of the Federal District Court of Nebraska in the pivotal years from 1867 to 1933. And it begins with a keen observation from Alexis de Tocqueville in his Democracy in America. He notes, "There is hardly a political question in the United States which does not sooner or later turn into a judicial one. More to the point, our history can be analyzed throughout our code of law, and it is certainly true for this state. As the book states, Nebraska's federal court has been a mirror that reflects the ebb and flow of our state's social, political, and cultural history. The Federal Court of Nebraska has revealed the rapid changes of our state, cases of labor disputes and violence, political corruption, and reform efforts in the progressive years, cattle ranchers versus homesteaders, criminal enterprises and bootleggers versus the federal government during Prohibition. And maybe the most significant of all, the recognition of human freedom and equality to Native Americans in the case of Chief Standing Bear. This court carries a sacred weight of both forging and revealing the very uniqueness of Nebraska. I'm proud of Brian Buescher, and I know that he will be an arbiter of justice and carry on this important work. First and foremost, Brian is a proud husband to Elaine and father of 5 children, Elizabeth, Catherine, Anna, and sons Nicholas and Alexander. Please join me in congratulating them. They've been as big as cheerleaders throughout this very, very long confirmation process. As many of you know, Brian grew up in Clay County, Nebraska. There, he learned the importance of hard work at a young age on his family farm, where they raised corn, milo, alfalfa, wheat, cattle, and pigs. From his upbringing, he developed a deep appreciation for how the law directly affects the everyday lives of Americans, and even more so for those who live and work in the heartland. After receiving his undergraduate degree from the University of Nebraska, Brian was accepted into law school at Georgetown University. And there he thrived, both in and out of the classroom. He was editor-in-chief of the Georgetown Journal of Ethics and vice president of the Student Bar Association. Later, he became a partner in Kutak Rock, and he was chairman of the firm's agribusiness litigation team. He oversaw large, complex commercial litigation, which includes some of the most consequential subjects of our state: environmental law, food law, real estate, class actions, product liability, and banking. His success includes favorable readings in cases heard by Nebraska and Iowa state and federal courts, the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, and the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the District of Nebraska. In 2017, the American Agricultural Law Firm awarded him the Excellence in Agricultural Law Award for private practice. His 20 years of litigation experience has unquestionably prepared him for his next life chapter as a United States District Court judge. Time after time, case after case, he has demonstrated his unyielding commitment to upholding the Constitution and the rule of law. I was proud to introduce Brian and his family at his Senate Judiciary Committee hearing just around this time last year. I had hoped that my colleagues across the aisle would treat him fairly and respectfully as a man of high character with a sharp legal mind. Unfortunately, Brian faced some unfair attacks that asserted his personal religious beliefs were disqualifying. Religious tests for our judicial nominees blatantly ignore the Constitution, and they tear the fabric of the core of our American values, the freedom to worship and pray as we choose. But through the storm of these unjust claims, we saw Brian's patience. Did I just say that? We saw Brian's patience and his resolve under pressure. We witnessed his strong support for religious freedom. Nebraska and America saw exactly how Brian is going to use the law as his compass on the bench, not public opinion. I will close with this. With the celebration of Veterans Day last Monday, and recently I had the opportunity to take some questions from elementary students here in Omaha. And through those experiences, I've been reflecting what it means to love America. What are some of the concrete ways that we can continue to honor those who have given everything to allow our nation to live on? How do we show gratitude to those who have preserved our freedom and the fundamental blessings of this republic? And as I was thinking about these things, I was reminded of a very inspiring story. The story dates back to 1838. A young, aspiring leader was asking those same questions himself. He was giving a speech in a Midwestern town in Illinois to a group of youth about the alarming political events taking place at the time. James Madison, the last of the founding fathers, had died about a year earlier. And in their absence, the American people felt lost without their direction. Americans had always united around their admiration for the Patriots of '76. The founders were a visual representation of American values, and they modeled our first principles. Without that example, the people felt they were on their own. Our founding principles were forgotten, and people felt inclined to take the law into their own hands. Mob rule was on the rise in many areas, and madness ensued. Vigilante justice substituted for the rule of law. Americans were asking themselves how they would carry on with the republic. The young politician offered a solution. He urged his fellow citizens, saying, quote, "Let every American, let every lover of liberty, every well-wisher of posterity revere the laws of our country. As the Patriots of '76 did to support the Declaration of Independence, let every American pledge its allegiance in support of the Constitution and laws. Let reverence for the laws be taught in schools, in our seminaries, and in our colleges. Upon the law, let the fabric of freedom rest as the rock of its basis," end quote. He went on, imploring his audience to allow our laws to be enforced, not by the mercy of the mobs, but in courts of justice. Only reverence for our laws, he said, would allow our political institutions to survive and retain the attachment of the people. As many of you have probably already guessed, the speaker was Abraham Lincoln. He understood then, as we do now, the delicacy of our laws. If our laws collapse, everything else will crumble along with it. He believed, as all of us here today do, that to love America is to revere its laws. When we do so, we not only honor the sacrifices of our past, we protect the future generations of this great state and nation. So it is a sacred responsibility to appoint exceptional judges that apply equality before the law to every human being. And I say with great confidence that Brian Buescher will be one of them. Again, Brian, congratulations. We are very proud of your determination and your hard work to get to where you are today. I also again want to congratulate your beautiful family, who I know have been an incredible source of support throughout this challenging confirmation process. I have no doubt you will honor your family, our state, and our nation with your service on the U.S. District Court for the District of Nebraska. May God bless you in this role. May God bless the great state of Nebraska. And may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Senator Buescher, thank you for your eloquence and for your persistence in the Senate on behalf of the federal judiciary and the quest for justice. Our next speaker, Senator Ben Sasse, is a fifth-generation Nebraskan. Following a successful career as president of Midland College in Fremont, he began his service in the United States Senate in 2015. Senator Sasse is a member of the Senate's Select Committee on Intelligence, its Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs, its Joint Economic Committee, and the all-important Judiciary Committee. His chairmanship of the Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Oversight, Agency Action, Federal Rights, and Federal Courts makes him one of the most influential people in the realm of the federal justice system. Senator Sasse is also a best-selling author addressing important issues facing American society and culture. Please welcome Senator Ben Sasse.
Thank you, Judge. And for those of you who don't know, we are incredibly privileged to have the federal judiciary that we have here in Nebraska. I won't praise everybody, but I'll say something since the judge is pinch hitting today. Lori Smith Camp has taken senior status, which means typically that you get less pay, but you also are supposed to get a lot more freedom. And most judges who take senior status and open up a vacancy that a president can then appoint in consultation with the senator from their state, they typically reduce their load to somewhere between 35 and 65% of what their load used to be. I've asked a few people who work in this building, so when Judge Smith-Camp took her reduction at senior status, her workload went from what to what? And the answer was, it went from 120% to 110%. The word in this building is that you haven't actually taken any reduction, despite the reduction in pay. So thank you for your service. Judges aren't in the headlines when they're doing their job right. They're not in the headlines. And so a lot of Nebraskans don't know that. So kudos to you and thank you. I also want to say, getting to follow Senator Fisher, it is a real privilege as the junior senator from Nebraska to get to work with Deb in advising the president on the judiciary. As I see Judge Rossiter over here, I remember that when I was elected in November of 2014 and was not going to be sworn in until January of 2015, one of the first things that happened is Senator Fisher said, you're going to be getting a call from Mike Johans. Mike Johans called me up and he said, there's a whole bunch of stuff I care about in the transition as I exit, but one of them is, we got President Obama to agree, by we, he meant Deb Fisher and Mike Johans, to nominate Judge Rossiter, and he's not yet done. And you need to work really hard to make sure this doesn't fall off the Senate's agenda. And so So Deb Fisher is a tenacious bulldog. That was obvious in the roster nomination. It was obvious in Steve Cross's nomination, and it's clearly been obvious as you, I think she calls you patient. Deb usually tells the truth. Brian Fisher is not all that patient. And during this process, the best you could say was patient-ish. But that just meant like 1 out of 3 days he wasn't sort of banging on the door of somebody in Washington. But Senator Fisher did a great job of leading our delegation, and she and I were with President Trump yesterday, and one of our topics in our meeting with him was judges, and he was pretty darn happy because yesterday the Senate confirmed the 160th judge in his 35 months in office. That's 112 district judges, now as of yesterday, 46 circuit judges. Steve Graz, one of the early member in that lot, and 2 Supreme Court justices, 160 in 35 months. At the circuit level, that's a total number, but at the circuit level, it's an all-time record for a 3-year period in the history of the country since the public courts were created. So Senator Fisher's done a great job of helping keep President Trump focused on that issue, and he and I have a good working relationship on that. I want to say, there aren't many kids here besides the Fisher kids in the front row, but for the kid in all of our hearts, if you haven't looked up yet, look up. I've been through this building a whole bunch of times, and I had never previously looked up. I'm embarrassed. There are 3 levels of crowd below you, all on this ground level, and this is a pretty special space and a pretty great day to celebrate. And anytime you get a chance to sing with your neighbors, even if you have a voice as bad as mine, it's a pretty special day. And so thank you for leading us in the national anthem, and thank you to the Knights of Columbus for being here today. For those of you who don't do postmodern literature, there were a whole bunch of meetings and having the Knights of Columbus here to present the colors. And I just want to say, when I go back to the Senate Judiciary Committee next Monday night, or I guess next Tuesday morning is our next hearing, there are a whole bunch of people on both sides of the aisle, but I'm going to gently tell that the Knights of Columbus did the color guard for us today. I will be brief, but I want us to not leave here today not having reflected on what the word investiture means. It's a weird word. We don't use it very much. When you're in public life, all the people who are in these callings for a time, we preside over or attend a whole host of different ceremonies. What's a ceremony? A ceremony is a time to pause and do something that's out of the ordinary. And when you pause at a ceremony, you usually think, oh, this is great, I get to celebrate the person, Brian today, or some kid, graduating high school, or somebody being ordained into the ministry, or somebody being inaugurated into the presidency of some not-for-profit organization, or a naturalization ceremony. I've been able to preside over some naturalization ceremonies in this building in the past. Ceremonies are a time not just to celebrate the individuals that are before us, getting some honor or award, or going through some transition, or swearing in, or oath-taking in life. It's also a time to pause and think about, what is the office we're talking about? What do we mean by office? So commencement, as all of us have been to scores or hundreds of high school or college commencements know, it's a weird word, right? Commencement is the thing that clearly ends your time at a given school, or a given college or university, and yet the word commencement means beginning. What it means is, yeah, you've done a whole bunch of stuff that gets you to fulfill the requirements of getting the degree from the institution that you're about to exit, but the more important part is the service toward what end? It's the commencement of the rest of your life, where you repay the debt of gratitude by going out and living forward into the future the benefits of the institution from which you're leaving. Naturalization, what does that mean? It means that somebody immigrated across an ocean or came to this country and is going to actually forswear and decry foreign allegiances so as to embrace their citizenship as an American citizen. And so they're becoming naturalized as if this is the place that they had been born. Investiture is different because we don't hear the echo of the word. Naturalization has nature, commencement has commence or begin. But investiture has the word invest in it, and it does mean that. That is the etymology of the word. But what it literally means when you translate it is to clothe. An investiture is a moment of clothing. It's to put on vestments or garments. And it's sort of a two-sided investment. The first half is Brian Buescher has invested in a law. He's invested in his neighborhood. He's invested in the Knights of Columbus. He's invested in his parish. He's invested in his community and his state in lots and lots of ways. And one of the reasons he's being honored today, one of the reasons he was nominated and ultimately confirmed and has now been appointed and is today going through this investiture, is because he's invested in us. He's an honorable man who's done important things in our community. But the other side of investiture, the thing that happens when he's robed, is this clothing with garments, is a ceremony that says something both honorific, honorable, but also humbling. Because the reason you put on a robe, we the people, not just people who serve temporarily in a full-time paid capacity job as representatives of the people, but more importantly, we the people, 1.9 million Nebraskans, 325 million Americans, we the people are vesting something in Brian, which is the administration of justice as it comes before the courts, constrained by the constitutional limits of his office. And that robe is a symbol that not Brian Buescher, the man in full, sits before that court, but Brian Buescher, the judge, a man constrained, sits before the court and hears those cases. He may have lots of views. Fortunately, he roots for the right football teams, even though he does apparently have a clerk come back and do wears the ugly black and yellow. And so we have to question his judgment more broadly. Is she here? Shame on you. All I'm going to say is we can be friends now until the day after Thanksgiving, but the day after Thanksgiving we should all spurn and shun her. Brian has lots of judgments about things that may be right, that may be wrong, that may be opera, but fundamentally, who he roots for, or what his partisan preferences are, or who he votes for, none of that should affect or inform his job when he's before the court. And so when people stand before him and know that he should be colorblind to those personal and partisan preferences, the robe screams to them, he's clothed. We've invested honor in him. But he, in taking on this robe, knows that he must be humble and he must be constrained. He has an office with a lifetime appointment. He doesn't have that office because he gets to make policy apart from standing before the people by election. He stands there because he has a humble job. And the investiture that we're going through today is a glorious picture of the fact that the true center of life is not what happens in this building. This building is a place that preserves the opportunity for the true center of life to happen to places in the neighborhoods where you're living and working and raising your kids, and places where the Knights of Columbus and other fraternal organizations are serving and working and loving their neighbor. Brian, thank you for the willingness to take on this calling. Congratulations. It is an honor, and wear the robe with honor, and with humility. Godspeed.
Thank you, Senator Sass. Senator Sass's commitment to education and his interest in the judicial process were illustrated a few years ago when he brought his daughter to the federal court to see a naturalization ceremony and then to tour the courthouse and visit with the judges. Those of you who have children, grade school age, might consider doing the same thing. We would welcome them if you wish to do that. Our next speaker, Omaha Mayor Jean Stoddard, is a Nebraskan not by birth, but by choice. She has been our city's top executive since 2013. Before becoming mayor, her leadership experience included service as head nurse and department head of cardiovascular surgery at St. Louis University, president of the Millard Board of Education, and 4 years on the Omaha City Council. 6 years ago, Mayor Stoddard gave me the honor of administering her oath of office, and I still consider that one of my finest moments. Please welcome Mayor Jean Stoddard.
Good afternoon, everyone. Senators Buescher and Sass, Judge Mrs. Smith-Camp, members of the court and guests, and most importantly, to Judge Brian Buescher and your family, congratulations. It is an honor to be with you to formally recognize your appointment to the federal court. Judge Buescher, we have all respected your work and your dedication to the legal profession. We are proud of you as the newest member of the federal bench for the District of Nebraska. Thank you to Senators Buescher and Sass for your presidential appointment recommendation and support throughout the confirmation process. With these senators on your side, the outcome was never in doubt. They defended and promoted Brian and our way of life in Nebraska, and I thank them for their diligence. The thorough vetting of judicial appointments that we need is not always easy, and it's not always fair. I thank you and your family for patience and courage. Your Honor, I know your work has already begun. There is no doubt that you will perform your duties exactly as those who designed our court system and expected it to work. Judge Buescher will be thoughtful, understanding, thorough, and wise. He will be considerate, firm in his opinions, and fair in the consequences for those that seek remedy from the court. Today is not only for personal and professional celebration for Judge Buescher and his family, it is also a recognition of the significance of the judiciary in our society. In addition to a free and open press, an impartial and fair judiciary is among the most important vanguards of stability and freedom in our country. Just think, co-equal branch of government made up of unelected judges with life terms. They are expected to rule without prejudice, partisanship, or popularity. Judges work to reveal injustice, wrongdoing, or fault, and then determine remedy or penalty. This system has worked so well for so long underscores its importance. Congratulations, Judge Buescher, on your new role. It is an impressive and important accomplishment, and I know you will serve with honor and with passion. Thank you and congratulations.
Governor Pete Ricketts is on a trade mission to Germany this week, so he is unable to join us, but he has sent a video very graciously, and I understand that our IT people...
Yep.
Oh, it's up there. Wayne is going to make sure that this happens with his magic, and we will hear from the governor via the video.
Hello everyone. I'm sorry I can't be with you today, but I am so excited to celebrate the investiture of Judge Buescher. Congratulations, Your Honor, on this tremendous accomplishment. I've known Brian for many years, and he has exactly the right temperament, integrity, and character to be a fantastic judge. Brian is widely held in high regard for his respect for the law, thoughtfulness, and fair-minded approach to issues. His nomination is yet another example of the outstanding judges that President Trump has appointed. Judges who will interpret the law and not legislate from the bench. Additionally, thank you, Senator Buescher and Senator Sass, on shepherding his nomination through the confirmation process and defending him from unfair attacks. Today is a celebration of Brian and his accomplishments, but it is also a reminder of the importance of an independent judiciary. An independent judiciary serves as the foundation for a free republic. As James Madison wrote in Federalist 47, the accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judicial, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elected, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny. Brian will be a great judge who maintains his independent judgment and faithfully upholds our laws. He represents the best of Nebraska's values, and I wish him great success as he starts this next chapter of a fabulous career. Congratulations again, Judge Buescher. Your elevation to the bench will benefit Nebraskans and Americans for years to come. God bless you, and God bless the great state of Nebraska.
At this time, Hull of Little Rock, Arkansas. He is a dear friend of our new judge, Judge Buescher. Please come forward.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be reading the official presidential commission, which is the document that's framed over in the corner back there. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, of all who shall see these presents greetings. Know ye that reposing special trust and confidence in the wisdom, uprightness, and learning of Brian C. Buescher of Nebraska, I have nominated, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate, do appoint him United States District Judge for the District of Nebraska, and do authorize and empower him to execute and fulfill the duties of that office according to the Constitution and the laws of these said United States, and to have and to hold the said office with all the powers, privileges, and emoluments of the same of right appertaining unto him, the said Brian C. Buescher, during his good behavior. In testimony whereof, I have caused these letters to be made patent, and the seal of the Department of Justice to be hereunto affixed. Done at the city of Washington, this 6th day of August, in the year of our Lord, 2019, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 244th. Signed, William P. Barr, Attorney General, and by the President, Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
At this time, the oath of office will be administered by our highest-ranking federal judge in the state of Nebraska, Steve Ross of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit. Ross.
We're going to attempt to do this without microphones, so you can see Brian take his oath. Brian, this is a very special day for you and your family. It's also a great day for the state of Nebraska and for our nation. You've been chosen to serve as a guardian of our Constitution and the rule of law. There's no higher duty to our country than that. At this time, it's my privilege to administer your oath of office. So I'd like to have you please raise your right hand and repeat that oath. I, Brian Buescher, do solemnly swear.
I, Brian Buescher, do solemnly swear
that I will administer justice without respect to persons.
that I will administer justice without respect to persons,
And do equal right to the poor and to the rich.
with equal right to the poor and to the rich,
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
that I will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me
as United States District Judge for the District of Nebraska,
as United States District Judge for the District of Nebraska,
under the Constitution and laws of the United States.
under the Constitution and laws of the United States,
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
That I take this obligation freely,
that I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
That I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
At this time, Judge Buescher's family, his wife Elaine, his daughters Alexandra, Elizabeth, Catherine, oh, excuse me, I got that wrong. His daughters Elizabeth, Catherine, and Anna, and his son Alexander and Nicholas will assist him with this robe.
We didn't practice.
I sit here right now, I stand here in front of you, and I just realize how lucky I am to have so many friends and to live in such a wonderful country. Indeed, I believe it's the greatest country history's ever seen. And I just want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank you, many of you who've provided me friendship over the years, who have represented as clients, who I've known throughout my civic endeavors. And I just want to thank you for being here today to celebrate our country, to celebrate this event, but really to celebrate our fair and highly respected federal judiciary. I would like to begin by thanking those who played an important part in getting me where I stand today. I'd like to start with my wife, Elaine. And I don't know if when you married me, you knew you were signing up for 5 babies, a husband who spent the last 20 years working more than I should have, with 2 campaigns for public office thrown in the mix. But the truth is, I would not have made it here without you. That is simply the truth. Thank you. I also want to say thanks to my kids, Alex, Lizzie, Catherine, Annette, and Nicholas. You know, as lawyers, we spend a lot of our hours doing our best to handle our clients' needs and problems. My schedule as a practicing attorney many times is not my own, but rather that of the needs of my clients. One of the best settlements I ever worked out for a client when I negotiated as I was walking across Disney World to the It's the Small World ride. It was a great deal. I don't know if Bruce was for you. I'm here somewhere, I think. I admit a good portion of our family vacations had a set of depositions as their centerpiece. But you kids took it all like troopers, and thanks mostly to your mother. You've all turned out pretty darn well so far, so keep up the good work, kids. During my first semester at Georgetown Law, I came back to Nebraska after finals. I interviewed with 9 law firms. I was fortunate to get 8 offers, but I got the offer I really wanted. I had 19 great years at QTAC Rock. At QTAC Rock, I was able to develop a nationally recognized agribusiness practice, and I was able to provide legal services to some of the largest entities this country has, as well as represent individual farmers today, and some of them are in the room. On top of that, my partners at QTAC, they tolerated my political activities, put up with my candidate meet and greets, and they even let me run for public office a couple times. I was able to be in a position to be considered for this appointment because QTAC Rock allowed me to practice law at the highest level, while at the same time allowing me to serve my community the way I saw fit. While I owe a debt of gratitude to the firm and many of its longtime partners, I want to in particular say a thank you to the late chairman of QTAC Rock, David Jacobson. When I was a young partner, I came to David and asked him if he would allow me to be the chairman of the Douglas County Republican Party. Although some of my firm were very much against the prospect, David, who many of you know was a prominent liberal Democrat, said yes. A few years later, I again found myself in David's office asking if the firm would permit me to run for Omaha City Council. It would have been easier and more convenient for David to have said no, but he said yes again. Then I came to him several years later and asked if I could run a statewide campaign for Nebraska Attorney General on 2 weeks' notice, all while remaining a part of the firm. He said, yeah, sure, what the heck, go ahead. Then a few years ago, shortly before David became ill, I told him I had been asked to submit an application to be a federal judge. He proceeded to immediately submit a letter stating nicer things about me than I deserved. I believe in life, it is the people who are willing to take a few personal risks to help you succeed that makes all the difference. Several people in my life have done that for me. One of those people was David Jacobson. God rest your soul, David. As federal judge, I'm able to hire 3 attorneys to assist me in my chambers to help with the considerable amount of work that comes with being a federal judge. I was lucky to hire Kate Regal, Doug Amon, and Isaiah Frawling, all very talented attorneys. Thank you for joining the team. In the process of interviewing law clerk candidates, I was able to interview a candidate who spent some time in Kutak Rock in the early 2000s when I was there as well. An attorney mentioned she remembered me as the guy who was always working late on Friday nights. Well, that was true. Success in the private practice of law is greatly impacted by how hard you are willing to work for your clients. I learned how to work hard back on the farm 3 miles west of Louise, Nebraska, population 62. I stand here today as someone who has scooped more than my share of hull manure. I've also hauled more hay bales than I can count. I even survived putting a tarp on a very tall stack of hay on one of the highest farms in Nichols County during a lightning storm. I've been run over by a cow, only to have my little sister save my day in my roping deal penny bovine. The 1980s turned out to be the toughest farming years our country has faced since the Great Depression. I grew up right in the middle of that. Thank you to my parents, Greg and Marsh, for a strong upbringing. My 3 sisters, Jenny, Angie, and Emily, are all here for putting up with me all those years. And also to my grandparents, Don and Dorothy, who my grandmother, Dorothy, is here today. I want to thank them for being here, thank her for being here. My grandfather is one of the most informed citizens you'll know. I know he regrets not being here. He was ill today. But thank you for coming. You've also met some other people today who have each in their own way impacted my life. Jack Packer and I became friends our freshman year on the honors floors at Nyhart Residence Hall, University of Nebraska, Lincoln. Chad and I later drove my 1986 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme to Miami twice to watch the Cornhuskers win a national championship back in 1994. That was back when we could actually play some decent football. Chad is a Yale grad and an outstanding attorney in his own right. Mr. Pecron, your time is coming. Thank you for your courage. I want to also thank many of my very good friends who made the effort to be here today. Some of these friends I met when I was 18 years old as a freshman at the University of Nebraska. Thank you to the Morrisons, the Byers, the Kerniges, the Rices, the Ices, the Guards, the Dars, Jess Kennedy, Tad Herbeck, and many others. Many of you continue to be my greatest friends today. I was very happy former longtime Omaha City Councilman Dr. Franklin Thompson agreed to sing the national anthem today with the assist from my son Alex. One of the better decisions I made during my party work was backing Franklin during all of his many city council campaigns. Thank you for your service, Franklin. I'd like to thank Bishop Hannafelt, a native of the town of Creighton, Nebraska, for offering the invitation today. I was able to get to know Bishop Hannafelt around a decade ago. Catholics in Nebraska have been very well served since Bishop Hannafelt was named Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Red Island. Thank you for coming, and thank you also to Archbishop Lucas for your attendance today as well. When Elaine and I were looking for our first home, we bought a home in the same general area where we live today. All of that time, we had parishioners at Our Lady of Dolores Catholic Church. As you know, Elaine and I are both small town types. Our Lady of Dolores community, that community is like a small town in the middle of a big city. Thank you to longtime OLL Pastor Father John Petronelli for offering the benediction at the conclusion of this proceeding. I want to be sure those in this room understand how federal judges are really selected. Let me tell you how this works. Under our present circumstances in Washington, Senator Buescher and Senator Sass figure out who they would like appointed, and after that, the White House responds, sounds good to me. I want to thank both of you for your trust and confidence in selecting me for this position. Thank you also for your service to our great country. Thank you very much for your kind comments as well. I'd also like to thank Circuit Judge Steve Ross for performing the ceremonial swearing in today. I had a chance to work with Judge Ross on many occasions in private practice. Judge Ross is a fantastic judge. Read his opinions and you will see that. I'm happy to be serving here at the courthouse with Judge Ross. There's also an organization that has been very important to me over the course of my life that I've performed the role of presenting the colors for this ceremony. I've been a member of the Knights of Columbus since the age of 18. As many of you are aware, my membership in the Knights of Columbus became the topic of hundreds of national news stories during my confirmation process. At one point in my confirmation process, someone asked me if I'd be willing to resign from the Knights of Columbus if it meant my confirmation would be made easier. My response was no. My confirmation is going to fail because of my membership in a charity organization that held exactly the same views as my Catholic faith. Then so be it. Thanks to Senator Sachs, Senator Buescher, and many, many others, our country was able to get through the objections posed, and I stand here today. Our Constitution protects the right of all of us to practice whatever faith we happen to have or don't have. Thank you to my fellow Knights of Columbus for standing with me. I met Mayor Gene Stockford in 2009 when we both hired the same campaign manager to run our city council campaigns in different city council districts here in Omaha. Mayor Stockford's city council and subsequent campaigns obviously turned out much more successful than mine. Mayor Stockford, thank you for your outstanding service to our wonderful city, and thank you also for your friendship over the years. Thank you also to the many, many dignitaries who attended today. Governor Hyman, Senator Carnes, Chief Justice Hedrick, and many others who are here. I'd like to thank you for coming. I'd also like to thank Governor Ricketts for providing his video comments, given he is currently on state visits in Germany. Finally, I'd like to thank my other fellow federal judges for the warm welcome I received since arriving. I would also in particular like to thank Chief Judge Gerard for his assistance in my transition to the bench. As you know, Judge Gerard's two-week jury trial Lincoln went longer than expected, and he is charged with instructing a jury today. He's currently got a jury out, I believe, trying to decide what to do with the case. When it comes to instructing a jury, nobody can do that except the federal judge, and that's what he's doing today. I also want to thank Judge Rossiter for your assistance in showing me the ropes. I've already leaned on Judge Rossiter and Judge Gerard on many issues that have come before the court as I transition to the bench. You're both outstanding judges. Here in Nebraska, we have a total of 3 authorized federal district court judgeships. That is a relatively low number of judgeships given Nebraska's population. Our docket has traditionally been very busy. A judicial vacancy is created when a judge who is eligible for retirement either fully retires and stops working or states they are willing to take what is called senior status. I was able to be nominated and confirmed after Judge Lori Smith-Camp took senior status. Judge Smith-Camp is a fantastic judge and has been a great resource to me in my transition to the bench. In fact, Judge Smith-Camp was selected to be a mentor judge who taught the new judges school I recently attended with 19 other new federal judges that took place in Atlanta. The school is actually referred to among the judiciary as Baby Judges School. Judge Smith-Camp, thank you for your kindness and your willingness to serve as master of ceremonies for this proceeding today. Now, without going further, I would like to make a few more comments about what it means for a judge to take senior status. As many of you know, we're going through confirmation, and confirmation as a federal judge is a lifetime appointment. After a certain length of service, federal judges are able to retire and stop working if they wish, while receiving full pay for the rest of their lives. Instead of fully retiring, those judges who take senior status choose to continue working as a federal judge, even though they would get paid almost exactly the same whether they decided to keep working or not. I'd like to recognize today that Senior Judge Lori Smith-Camp, Senior Judge Joe Town, Senior Judge Richard Pope, and Senior Circuit Judge Arlen Bean all have chosen to keep working and keep serving the public, even even though they are entitled to completely retire. Thank you all for donating your time to continue serving the public. All of us citizens, especially us active judges, owe you a debt of gratitude. As some of you know, my journey to this point was not a direct one. I recall about 10 years ago when I was walking down the street, my longtime neighbor at a field club, and an attorney who lives in the neighborhood suggested in a conversation that she thought I would end up a federal judge. I quickly corrected her, noting I had no intention of ever seeking to be a federal judge, or any judge for that matter. Indeed, my plan for life had been formulated during my undergraduate years at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and my law school years at Georgetown. I was going to graduate in Georgetown law, immediately come back to the great state of Nebraska. I was going to practice law here in Nebraska, and then find a way to run for Attorney General of Nebraska. As you all know, I found a way to make a run for Nebraska Attorney General, and frankly, I could not have asked for a better opportunity to do so, with many in this room being very kind to help me in that cause. When a position on the federal bench became a possibility, it was a difficult decision for me to decide whether to pursue it. But an experience I had in life convinced me that I should pursue it. I'd like to share that experience with you now. Back in 2003, before Elaine and I had kids, I worked up the courage to take 8 business days off in a row for QTAC Rock, even though I was an associate attorney at the time, so Elaine and I could travel to Europe. Many of you know that Elaine was a ranch girl from Kippahaw County, Nebraska, spent more than a year in Russia becoming fluent in the Russian language and studying Russian art. Although she had extensive experience in Russia, she had not toured Western Europe, so we figured we better take that trip before life got away from us. One day during our trip, we were visiting Rome, and a priest from Nebraska who was serving high up as a high lieutenant in part of Nebraska at the Vatican gave us a wonderful day tour of the Vatican and many of the great Catholic churches of Rome. Cardinal Ratzinger, of course, later became Pope Benedict XVI. At the end of the day, this native of Bellevue, Nebraska, drove us to a wonderful lookout over Rome. And as we concluded a very memorable day, I mentioned to this priest that he better get ready to be named bishop because that seemed to be coming soon. The priest responded with a deadpan expression and stated with all earnestness he had no desire to be a bishop, he did not want to be a bishop, but instead he wanted to go back home to Nebraska and be assigned to a parish here and serve as major in his church here. And I responded, well, you better get ready to be a bishop. And he shook his head. Well, Father Jacobs has become Bishop of Wichita, and currently he serves as Archbishop of Butte, Iowa. It was Archbishop Jacobs who taught me that sometimes in life you should do what you're meant to do, even if it is not exactly what you had in mind for yourself. Even after a few months on the job, the truth is, this is exactly what I believe I was meant to do. Although we had a nice ceremony of swearing in today, as I mentioned, I've actually been serving as a judge since August 7th. I was confirmed by the U.S. Senate on July 24th. President Trump signed my presidential commission over here on August 6th. And just to be sure he didn't change his mind, I immediately got over here on August 7th and had Chief Judge Gerard officially swear in. I've been on the job since then. After we take the bench, as federal judges don't have a lot of public statements to make. By necessity, our social circles get a little smaller. We no longer are involved in heading up fundraisers or telling people to get money to nonprofits or religious organizations. No more political events, no more yard signs. I will admit, though, one advantage to being a federal judge is that I am no longer allowed to give campaign donations. Sorry, Senators. From now on, the great majority of my public statements will be in writing. Part of my job will be to write hundreds of written pages of opinions every year. I will rule on civil lawsuits, criminal lawsuits, on issues that come from all aspects of our society. Some of the tasks we get to perform as federal judges are truly wonderful. For example, as federal judges, we get to preside over citizenship proceedings. During those proceedings, around 60 individuals from all parts of the world walk into this courthouse as citizens of other countries, and they walk out of this courthouse as citizens of the United States of America. I know that many of these new citizens leave this courthouse after having had the best day of their lives. On the other hand, we as federal judges are also called upon to decide the sentence for fellow citizens who have made major mistakes in their lives. Indeed, I imagine some of those Americans leave this building after having had the worst day of their life. I would like all of you to notice that all of us federal judges of the year are wearing black robes. Senator Sass recently pointed out during a speech at the U.S. Senate Judiciary Committee that some of us judges aren't issued red robes with other judges being issued blue robes. We all wear black robes. At some point in the next 20, 30, or more years that I, God willing, hope to spend on the federal bench, I have little doubt that some of you in this room are going to have a question for me at some point during my tenure. Let me tell you what your question might be. Why did Judge Buescher write what he wrote in that opinion? In conclusion today, I want to answer that question for you. I'm going to write whatever I write because the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, as interpreted by the United States Supreme Court and Circuit Court of Appeals, led me to the conclusion that I came to. I will follow our Constitution and laws, whether I personally like the result or not, whether the people involved are rich or poor, whether they are religious or not. That is my commitment to you, my fellow citizens. That is the commitment I make to my country. God bless all of you. God bless the United States of America.
Thank you, Judge Buescher. Please be seated. Judge Buescher, of course, is now joining us at the bench. I will say, Judge Buescher, that you were my favorite student in baby judge school. He graduated at the top of his class. Some of you may have noticed the bronze bust that is peeking out from behind the black curtain there. That is Senator Buescher. And he has been smiling throughout the ceremony, and I think he has a twinkle in his eye. Those of you who are as old as I am, or a little older, will remember that Senator Buescher served in the U.S. Senate for 22 years. During much of that time, he was the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, presiding over the confirmation of more than 500 federal judges, including 9 Supreme Court justices. He wrote much of the federal criminal code, and he was well respected by his colleagues. In 1970, and don't worry about where this story's going, it's going to be okay. In 1970, President Nixon asked Senator Buescher to use his influence to help a Supreme Court nominee through the Senate confirmation process, following one failed nomination. Some senators expressed concern that the new nominee was mediocre. Senator Buescher gave a speech that became quite famous, championing diversity on the bench. He said, and I quote, "There are a lot of mediocre judges and people and lawyers. They are entitled to a little representation, aren't they? And a little chance. We can't have all Brandizes, Frankfurters, and Cardozo's." The nomination failed. Judge Buescher, it is true that we all work in a courthouse that was dedicated in honor of a man who purportedly was an advocate for mediocre federal judges. We strive to exceed expectations. With your recent confirmation and your record of academic excellence, your extensive experience in civil litigation, your demonstrated leadership within the legal profession, your business savvy, and your personal ethics and values, you are going to raise the bar for all of us. We, your colleagues, welcome you to the court family We welcome your family to the court family, and we look forward to working with you and learning from you for decades to come. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Now, we are going to have our benediction that will be offered by Pastor John Petramale from Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church, Omaha, Nebraska, followed by a rendition of America the Beautiful, arranged and performed by Elizabeth Buescher.
Let's bow our heads in prayer. Almighty and ever-living God, we thank you for this beautiful day, for this beautiful celebration of the investiture of the Honorable Ryan C. Buescher as U.S. District Judge. This ceremony really celebrates a man who is dedicated to family, a man who is dedicated to his neighborhood, a man who is dedicated to his state and his country. We ask you to shower him with many blessings as people in his life have molded him to be who he is. We ask you to bless his parents, his wife, and children, all of the colleagues who stood by him, those who nominated him, and those who confirmed him. We ask that you look kindly upon his role as a U.S. District Judge for the District of Nebraska. Bless all judges, all civil leaders, with the guidance that you give them to keep this nation under your hand. We ask you to bless him and bless all of us this day in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
arranger, and the performer. Judge Buescher is apparent that you have a very lovely, very talented family, and you can be extraordinarily proud of them, just as I know they are proud of you today. Judge Buescher and his family now ask that you join them for a reception, continuing this celebration in a little different mode over at the Omaha building, which is where the Rock firm is located. It is about a block over that direction. Of course, you'll have to come out the front door. If you're walking, you will make a turn to the left, another turn to the left, and then it's half a block down the street. So we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much for your time and attendance today. It means a lot to the court as a whole. I know